Okay, good afternoon. We're going to get started. My name is Maurice Wilkes from the Center for New Media Teaching and Learning. You can see that. Did I put my name up in this one? No, I have it on the other slide. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for our 7th in the series of conversations on online learning. We've been very happy to have had many great speakers helping us think about online learning. And hopefully today you'll also leave with some more food for thought as the university continues to consider its various roles in the online learning world. As I mentioned, we've had a number of previous speakers. The top 2 are on our YouTube channel. Anybody wants to go back and look at any of those. And today we have Anant Agarwal, whom I'll introduce in a second, but also want to remind everybody that on April 17th, we will have Marcia Lin from the University of California, Berkeley. She is a professor in cognition and development, and she will talk about human learning, and we expect that to be also an excellent session. I hope many of you will join us. We have on the board here some of the Twitter handles and a hashtag for anybody who is going to be posting any information out to Twitter. Please do. We love to watch the back channel and keep that active. Today is also a very important day for Columbia, and some of you may have already heard, but today we're also announcing that Columbia is joining edX, and we are very happy to have Anant here, but also some of the folks from edX who are sitting in the back. Maybe raise your hand, and they're here to help us get started on the platform. We finished the signing today, and the provost's office just sent out a note about the agreement. And we're also very happy that we will begin working on a course with Professor Eric Foner, which will be our first major release on the edX platform. And Professor Eric Foner is also here in the rear, and we're very glad that he will be part of our releases on edX. So again, a great starting point for the edX program. Let me move on to why everybody really is here for, and that is to hear Professor Anant Agarwal talk about edX, and his talk will be Reinventing Education, and we will have a little bit of time at the end to have questions, so please generate as many questions as possible, and we look to hear your feedback on the talk. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Professor Anant Agarwal, President of CEO and also MIT professor, and let's get started.
You have a clock, so I can turn off my cell phone here.
Have it all set up for starting. I'll let you do your
Perfect. PowerPoint. Thank you, Maurice. I'm really delighted to be here. I'm sure many of you know that a lot of people feel that the big massive open online courses and so on started at Columbia with Fathom. And I've heard 2 things. Some people told me, "Oh, come on, you could not be doing Fathom all over again." And another group of people felt that, "Oh, what you're doing is old hat. Fathom's already done it." So either way, it's great to be here and and learn from what folks from Columbia did. And I've now been on campus 2 or 3 times, and certainly learned a lot from your own experiences with some of the early work that you did on spreading the word about talks and videos and so on from within campus. So my own discussion will be about reinventing education. I will spend some time about MOOCs and these massive open online courses. But fundamentally, a big reason why we're all in this is really to think about transforming education. How can we make the world a much better place in terms of education? If you look at what you see here, is this is not a rock concert, and the person you see out there is not Madonna. This is, believe it or not, this is a classroom at the Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. And if you think that MOOCs and online learning creates a bigger distance between the students, you just have to sit in the last row 300 feet away from the professor to see how closely connected you are with the professor in a on-campus class. Now, at least these learners here have access to a university. There are a large number of students around the world that can be smart, but they just don't have access to high-quality education. And can we do something about it? That's a real challenge. Even on campuses, whether it's Columbia or other campuses, fundamentally education really has not changed in hundreds of years. We still have, this is a classroom probably of 50 or 80 years ago, but classrooms don't look all that different today. We still have the professor talking to a number of students, and you see a number of students sitting in nice little rows in a classroom, and that really hasn't changed a whole lot. While if you look at a millennial generation, this is how they like to learn. So that's my 14-year-old daughter, and I promise you that this was shocking. I still can't believe it. 2 weeks ago, so here you see a laptop. So 2 weeks ago, I just saw her lying on the same bed, and she had 3 screens in front of her. One was a laptop, and she was doing some physics web assignment. One, she had swiped my little iPad, and she was watching Netflix on it. And then she had her little smartphone, and she claimed to be WhatsApping with her friends and texting about the homework problems. At least that's what she told me. And so I said, "You're nuts." I said, "How can you do this? I mean, your brain's going to get mush. You're not going to have any." It went into a long lecture. You won't be able to focus on things. You'll be content. So she listened to me patiently, and then she said, the voice that only a 14-year-old girl can say, "Dad," very indulgent, you don't know anything voice, which is, so your generation can't do this. Okay, we can. And so she claimed that they can completely and perfectly do that. So I don't know whether I'm out of touch or whether a new generation of kids are going to turn into something that we're going to be really frightened of 10 years from now. But either way, times are changing. And the new generation gets a very comfortable learning online. And so the question is, how can we bring some of the digital technology and the online learning into campuses and create blended models of learning? And I'll talk some about that as well. So about edX, so we formed edX about 2 years ago to create these online courses. And if you recall, about 2.5 years ago, and online learning, to be very clear, has been around for 30, 40, 50 years. And folks like Maurice and centers like Maurice's center have been working with online learning and materials at universities for a long time. But what changed was that 2.5 years ago, Sebastian Thrun out of Stanford put his AI course online, and really, in some sense, changed the world with a keystroke. But suddenly, he had 160,000 students from all over the world sign up for the course, and people said, "Oh my God, we've had this online technology around us, but we've never really latched onto it in a big way." So I certainly paid attention to it. I'd been doing online stuff at MIT. You can still go and see the stuff I hacked up. So about 10 years ago, I created something called WebSim. So if you Google WebSim, WEBSIM, and MIT or Agarwal, you'll see my website. It was probably the first MOOC lab. So I created an online circuits laboratory, and on average, every day I would have between 200 and 300 students from all over the world come and do online labs. It was my little hack project, and I felt that I would not be ready for online learning until I could convince myself that I could do online labs at scale. And so I've been doing this for about 7 or 8 years, and I convinced myself it can be done, but I stopped there. But when Sebastian went and put up his course online, and that said, "Whoa, this is pretty exciting." So in short order, following that, he formed Udacity, and then we launched edX, and a team from Stanford launched Coursera. So immediately after Sebastian's course, took the world by storm, edX and Coursera got formed as well. So these were the three that are sort of in the, what shall I say, the first wave of this movement. So when we formed this out of MIT, we said, at MIT, I guess we are practiced in the art of giving things away. So 10 years ago, MIT did open courseware, gave course materials away for free. And so here it was natural. For us, we felt that this was going to be transformative in education. And so we felt We just absolutely had to be true to our mission. And all our universities are nonprofit, so we said this has got to be nonprofit. And so, and again, I have nothing against for-profits. I myself have started 5 for-profit companies in my 26 years of teaching at MIT. And so for-profits are a great thing. But we just felt that for an education effort, initiative that had the potential to transform education both online and on campuses, that it needs to be mission-focused and stay true to its mission and not be subject to the vicissitudes of fundings or short-term cycles and so on. So we launched it as for better or for worse, as a nonprofit. So our mission, and MIT and Harvard pitched in with a funding of $60 million to fund the effort. And so we launched it 2 years ago, and you can see our website up here. And our mission had three parts to it right from day one. Increasing access to students all over the world. The second part was to improve campus education through the blended model. And so this was part of our mission statement in our very first announcements, as early as December of 2011. And the third part was, how do we advance research on learning? And I'd like to liken edX as a particle accelerator for learning. And Professor Kachani, as he was chatting with the Spectator, pointed out that one of the big reasons Columbia came on board was that with edX we share all the data from all the universities in de-identified form with all the universities. Everybody gets access to all the data, and we wrote that on contractually so that every university that comes on board is prepared to share all the data with everybody. And we felt that was really important as a particle accelerator for learning, so that we could all learn about learning using this incredible data. So one reason why online learning in this form with MOOCs took the world by storm was just the sheer numbers of it. It is, frankly, it's completely insane. So when we launched our first course on edX, this was a circuits and electronics course. My colleagues and I taught the course, and I noticed I have a student. The course is called 6002X, and I have a student here in class. I will sign it for you. So anybody else have any certificates? I'll sign up. So 155,000 students from 162 countries signed up for this is a hard course. So we are non-profit, so we can advertise very truthfully, and not that anyone advertises non-truthfully. We said that this is a hard course. It has differential equations as prerequisites. It has advanced complex analysis. We were truthful. So frankly, we were worried we would have maybe 50 students sign up for this course. But turned out that before we knew it, 155,000 students had signed up for the course. And that is a big number. It's a big number because that number is larger than the total number of alumni of MIT in its 150-year history. Now, 7,200 students passed the course, and they're really, really motivated. So we give, right from our very first course, we've been issuing certificates from the X branded name. So MIT issues certificates under MIT X. Columbia would do so under Columbia X. So the X branding was necessary to distinguish it from the campus experience. The campus experience is fantastic. This is a different experience. And so the X branding was to show this is an online MOOC experience. And so students are very highly motivated by that certificate. When the going gets tough, they said, look, I really want to get that certificate. So they work hard to go and get it because there's something for them at the end of it. So 7,200 students got a certificate and passed by passing this course. That is also a big number. I would have to teach at MIT for 40 years before I could teach this many students. So these are big numbers. So just to give you a sense of where we are today, we have 2 million learners on our platform from 196 countries, that is every country in the world. We have, the course number has gone up significantly. I think we're at 160 or 165 courses in virtually all subjects, medicine, history, law. We're really excited to have Eric Foner's legendary courses, including on the Civil War and so on, edX. Very, very exciting. A course in multiple languages. So we launched an internationalization of the platform last week. So you can now go to edX.org and you can click on a language and you'll see the whole learning experience in that language. Believe it or not, Australia National University launched a course in Hindi. I'm giving my colleagues in India a hard time, saying, come on, Australia had to launch a course in Hindi. So, our Chinese partners from Tsinghua and Peking University have launched courses in Mandarin. Louvain and others have launched courses in French. So very exciting. Equally exciting is the fact that we have over 130 blended classes happening in campuses all over the world. In community colleges, in large universities, Ivy League universities, private institutions, public institutions, even high schools. And even though the 2 million number seems large, I'm really excited about the 13,500 number, which is a number of learners on campuses that are using online learning using edX in various forms. So very, very exciting. So who are edX learners? At the end of the day, 2 million is a big number, but I get really excited when I look at one number. I look at one student. So here are some students. So just as an example, these are the kind of people that you will be able to touch as you offer courses. And the stories are just absolutely extraordinary. So it makes you want to really do something like this, come into work every day. Just absolutely amazing. So this is the story of Claude Mukendi. So he was an 18-year-old from the Democratic Republic of Congo with a family of 14. So he goes to University of Cape Town in South Africa to study, and doing computer science. And in the first year, his father passes away. And so he can't pay his fees anymore, so he quits school, and then he's been working for 10 years in South Africa. Now he can take these free courses online, and he's jumped back in and is taking courses. And his goal is to take enough of these courses back in the field he wanted to graduate in, computer science, and then get a job. So the stories of learners like this, for whom these kind of courses from Columbia and MIT and Harvard and other places can really be transformational for them. And it's just, when you look at these individual stories, it is absolutely extraordinary. So we work with a number of university partners that offer courses. Many of our partners form what is called the X Consortium, where they work together on teaching and learning and share experiences and so on. So we have some of the leading universities of the world, and now with Columbia joining us as a partner, I can confidently state that we have some of the best universities in the world that we are partnered with. Columbia is our latest university. We have Dartmouth, Harvard, Cornell, IIT Bombay, UCL from Louvain. So really a number of universities from all over the world that are offering courses on our platform. Really pleased that Columbia is on board today. So very excited. So as I said, we have a large number of courses in a large number of topics, medicine, law, business, history, engineering, computer science, really all subjects. And the number of courses keeps expanding over time. We've also worked towards giving something to the students. So when you're learning, students really want, really desire to aspire to something. Of course, they aspire to getting more knowledge, getting better jobs, getting a better life, knowing more about the Civil War, knowing more about your culture. At the same time, they also really like to see a credential. And so we've been working towards, what are ways in which we can motivate students, particularly, you're having a hard time with the problem set, you're halfway through a course, and saying, I'm going to drop it and discontinue. However, if there's something at the end of it, like a certificate or something they can aspire to, a credential, they will plow through and continue working towards it. So on edX, you can take courses in 3 ways. You can audit a course. If you really have no intention to get a certificate, you can just audit it, and that's for free. You can also get an honor code certificate. That is also free. And for a small fee, you can sign up to get what is called an ID verified certificate, where we use the camera, the webcam, and the student shows their ID, and use that to make sure that the student is who they say they are. And for that, we charge a small fee, depending on the course, on the order of $25 or $50 to sign up for a verified certificate. And because we're a nonprofit, we also allow the students to pay more than what we ask them to pay. So there's a minimum fee of, say, $25 or $50, and then we give them an option to pay more. So we say, oh, you can pay 100 or 100 or whatever. I mean, this is to support our mission. And you won't believe it, but the students are paying on average 10% more than what we're asking for. So people are really, really motivated And that they're actually paying 10% more in order to support the mission so that we can spread the word. We also launched in the middle of last year X series, which are sequences of courses. Many students told us that, look, once I take, let's say the first course, just to use Professor Foner's example, on the antebellum. Hey, look, I want to learn about the Civil War. I want to learn about this. Can I get more? And so we launched X series, which are sequences of courses, and they can get a credential at the end of it for a sequence of courses. So we have one on Foundations of Computer Science on MIT, for example, where they can concentrate. It's like a concentration or like a minor program where they can take a sequence of courses. Employers also like this a lot because they say, if the students take one course in some field, that's nice, but it's nice if they can show that they've gotten knowledge and in a discipline as opposed to just one narrow course. So this is really good for the learners. Employers like it, and it also motivates students where they can say, oh, if I do this course, I can do this and this and this, and it's very very exciting for the students. So in recent times, there's also been a lot of soul searching about MOOCs, which is the completion rates are terrible. If you looked at the numbers I showed you earlier, I showed you 155,000, and I put a very positive spin on it. Right? Then I showed you 7,200 passed my course. I put a positive spin on it. I said 7,200 was bigger than the number of students I could teach in 40 years. Now that's a positive spin on it, right? And so you heard a lot of that. That creates hype. Now there's a negative spin on it. Okay, so let me do it a different way. 7,200. That's 5% of 155,000. What? Only 5% of students pass this course? That is not a good number. And so there's been a lot of soul searching that, oh, maybe MOOCs and online learning is not such a good idea because only, for this course, take my course as an example, only 5% passed. And the funny part was when 5% passed it, before the negative, the soul searching happened, in the past few months. This was 2 years ago when I saw that number. I was really excited. So wow, 5% of students were able to pass this course. I said that is really exciting. But you can also view it as a negative that says, look, it's only 5%. So how can we put this in perspective? And so here are some thoughts about it. Okay, so one is that if you consider a selective university, okay, so take Columbia, MIT, other selective universities. First of all, these courses are of similar rigor to campus courses. Okay, we're not looking to water down the courses. Similar rigor to campus courses. In the circuits course that I taught, for instance, we had an online circuits laboratory. Students had to do labs every week online. So, and this is a hard course. I used the exact same material for my campus class and the same final exam for both the campus class and the online class. So this was MIT hard. There's no ifs, whens, or buts. So now, if you look at it, let's say approximately 7%, 5-7% of learners pass edX courses. On edX, anybody can take an edX course. We have learners who are 8 years old to learners all the way who are 95 years old taking edX courses. Okay, so anybody can come in. Geography is no bar, income is no bar, your background is no bar. Anybody can come and take these courses. And so there is no admissions test. We don't have any admissions policy. Anybody can come in and take the course. So, and then you look at selective universities. Selective universities admit oftentimes in the single digits. 5-10% of the students, maybe a little more, that apply. So then, why are we surprised when you offer a really, really hard course with no admissions test? Why are you surprised then that about the same number that you admit into a university pass the course? It should come as no surprise. So you can either undemocratize education, and you can say, okay, you can take this MIT MOOC. And I put a very hard gate there. I said, I'm going to give you a pre-test. If you pass the pre-test, or if you only have SAT scores of 23, 40 and above, then you can take this test. You can drive the numbers up. But we want to democratize things, and different people get different things out of it. The absolute numbers are large. 7,200 is still a big number, so it's not that bad. But I think the real reason is that different learners want different things out of these courses. So many learners want to take a course. So when Professor Eric Foner's course on the Civil War comes out, hey, I want to sit in, and I grew up in India, took history in India, and we learned all about the British Raj, and we all learned all about Indian history. We didn't learn much about the Civil War. We did some. I'm going to sit in, but maybe I won't put in all the time and effort to get, I'm not motivated enough to get a certificate, and I don't have the time to put in all the work, but I'm still getting something out of it. So different learners want different things out of a course. And what we found is that those who put even a slight amount of skin in the game complete at a much higher fraction. So for instance, those who sign up for certificates and honor code, whether it's an audit track or honor code track, 5% gets past the course. 5% complete a course. But if you look at those who sign up for an ID verified certificate, indicating the intention that, look, I'm motivated, I want to complete this course, and I'm going to put in $25 or $50 to do it, the pass rate shoots up to 60%. So that motivation is really, really, really important. Let me ask all of you another question in terms of looking at these numbers. How many of you watch YouTube? Pretty much everybody. How many of you have watched YouTube videos all the way to that you watch each YouTube video all the way to the end? 0%. So does that mean that YouTube is a bad idea? We should just stop it? No. So really, each of us gets different things out of it. I've watched half the video. Yep, I got enough out of it. Let me move on. So this sort of gives you a sense that when you have no admissions test, that different people get different things out of it. It's a useful thing to do. So the other thing edX did, I said edX is a nonprofit. One of the other, at edX, maybe because we're a nonprofit, we like to give things away. And so we said, okay, we've given courses away for free. What else can we give away? So we said, let's give away a platform for free. So we've made a platform available as open source. And what that means is that anybody in the world can take our software, take our entire code base, and they can go and do whatever they want with it. In fact, we've seen several for-profit companies take our code base and set up shop. We've seen a consortium of universities form a competitor to edX using the edX code base, and we're helping them. Sure, take our platform, we'll help you. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to increase access to education. And the more people that can do it, let's help them, it's a good thing. And so there's also an ulterior motive in an open source platform in that many of them begin to work on the platform and began to contribute to the code base. So as an example, at Columbia, Columbia became a member of partnership today. But I think for at least a year before this, Columbia has been using OpenEdX. And in fact, Columbia Video Network is using OpenEdX. And so they've just taken OpenEdX and they're doing it. And they've been contributing back to the code base, and it's been helpful for everybody. So it's great to form these partnerships. So once we launched the open source movement in June of last year, we've seen pretty amazing adoption of this platform around the world. So China, for example, launched XueTangX, which is Tsinghua and the Chinese Ministry of Education launched a Chinese national platform using edX. France launched France Université Numérique, a French national platform. You can see Stanford. Stanford was building its own nonprofit platform called Class2Go. They decided to team up with edX, and they're now using OpenEdX for their own courses, both internally on campus, for their online offering, for their medical certification, for their MOOC offerings, and they've been just a fantastic partner. They have made huge number of improvements to the edX code base and have contributed back to OpenEdX. So it's just been great to work with Stanford as a partner on this. Google teamed up with edX. They were building their own platform. They're also contributing the code base. And most recently, EdRock. So Queen Rania from the Queen Rania Foundation launched EdRock, which is a Arab nation platform for the entire Middle East using OpenEdX. And then the World Economic Forum launched Forum Academy working with edX, again, for the World Economic Forum courses. So we're seeing a lot of adoption of this beyond the edX.org portal itself, and it's been very encouraging to see that. Let me quickly walk through what an online class looks like. So this is a online course from Berkeley on artificial intelligence. Notice that one of the key things here is that if you look at the top, you see this little bar, navigation bar. We call that, it's a navigation bar for what we call a learning sequence. A learning sequence replaces traditional lectures. Those are sequences of videos interleaved with interactive exercises. Excuse me. So what that does is enables the student to watch a video or two, do some interactive exercise, and that promotes a form of learning called active learning, where education researchers, for example, in this landmark paper by Craig and Lockhart, showed as early as 1972 that when you really engage the student while teaching, learning is simply much, much better than otherwise. So we've really incorporated that wholeheartedly into our user interface. Excuse me. So that here they watch a video and then you can interact with the exercises and engage with the material rather than be passive listeners. Another reason why online learning can improve the quality of learning is self-paced learning. So here's an example of a video by using Khan-style tablet capture, where just imagine in a lecture hall, you can't pause the professor. You don't follow something, you can't pause them. You cannot even rewind them. But online, you can do both. And guess what? You can even mute the professor. Now, I'm a professor, so I can crack professor jokes. So if you're students, you can't do that. So the beauty of this is, in fact, as I asked the students at MIT when they were doing this course, how did you do this? And it turned out that, on average, students would mute me. They would run the videos at twice the speed and read the transcript on the right-hand side. So different people like to interact with content in very different ways. And so this gives them a flexibility. A majority of the video downloads were between 12 and 2 o'clock at 12 and 2 o'clock at night. And so students really they like the flexibility. They like to be able to repeat things, and because they can do a problem or exercise after watching some material, it enables them to test their understanding and go back and revisit something if they've really not gotten it. And this is, again, education researchers have known that if I can allow students to pace themselves, it also improves learning outcomes. So these are examples where education researchers have known that these aspects can improve learning. And so these are ways in which, by bringing online learning back to campus, we can have the potential here to improve campus education as well. Instant feedback is another really important area where on our platform we have a very rich set of problem types. Things like numeric answers, you can do equations, you can do various kinds of simulation exercises and so on. Here's an example of a chemistry problem. We enter a chemical equation. And when you have a large number of students, you can't grade them manually. All the grading is done by computer. So here a student enters a problem. Oh, they got it wrong, they try it again. All this is instant feedback. So it brings this element of gaming into it where rather than waiting for 2 weeks to get your homework back, you can get responses very quickly. And students get really, really engaged by doing that. In fact, the green check mark you see out here has become somewhat of a cult symbol at edX, and learners are telling us that they go to bed at night, oftentimes dreaming of that green check mark. So that instant feedback, oh, thank you so much. In fact, we discovered that the green check mark has become a meme on the web, and our team was really excited because you've arrived when you get memed. So, and in case you do not know what a meme is, ask ask a 5-year-old or 10-year-old. And when someone told me, "Oh, that's a meme," I didn't know what it was. And my daughter again says, again the same voice, "Dad, you don't know what a meme is?" So anyway, so that's a meme. It's for and that little character is a real famous character, and he shows up in some of these really popular memes. When you get the green check mark for after your first attempt. So we also have, you can also do online labs through simulation technology. So this is a gamified virtual lab on edX for the Science of Cooking course at Harvard. So here, the learner can pick the thickness of a steak or tuna or the type of meat and decide how long to cook it for and stuff. And then through simulation, it gets cooked, and then they can check temperature profiles and all of that stuff. So it's pretty cool. You can even hear some sound. So as it cooks, and then they can go around and check the temperature profiles and is it cooked, not cooked. So they're teaching physics and chemistry using cooking, and you can use simulation for all kinds of fun things, and students get really engaged with it. We also have discussion forums. This brings the social into learning, where learners can talk to each other through a discussion forum. And the students spend a lot of time on Facebook discussing things with friends. Heck, why not use that in the classroom and have students discuss learning and ask each other stuff and help each other. So we can also take, so that's about sort of access and how we can improve the quality of learning. Let me talk a little bit about how we can also take what we learn in the large and bring it back onto campus and improve what we do at the much smaller scale of campus. So just as one example, we did a pilot with San Jose State University where they came to us and they said, hey, look, we'd like to use some of your content like a new age textbook on our campus. And so they took the circuits course and they flipped the classroom where students would watch the videos and do the labs before they came to class. And in class, you get to spend a lot more one-on-one time with the professor. You ask questions and work with students in groups. And they found something pretty amazing in this pilot. Traditionally for this course, it's a required course at San Jose State, and traditionally, semester upon semester for the past several years, the failure rate in this course was about 40%. In this blended class, the failure rate fell to 9%. Now this was 2 years ago. Since then, they've done this experiment 4 times. And just yesterday, as I was driving to the airport, I talked to Khosrow Gadiri, who teaches this course, and he said in the latest version, the pass rate has gone up to 98%. And it stayed at 92, 95, 98, semester upon semester. And the success has been good enough that the entire California State University system has begun to work with edX, piloting this course across the entire system and use it like a new age textbook. So we are experimenting in a number of ways to see how we can help change teaching and learning on campuses. We've been working with community colleges where this is, you see the person in the back, that's Professor Jamie LaRue. This is at the Bunker Hill Community College in the Boston area, where they took an Introduction to Computer Science course and they blended the classroom and they did really good results. And one interesting question that keeps coming up is, a lot of people are worried, are you going to replace professors? If suddenly we can have these great online courses, are you going to replace professors? What's going to happen to jobs? What will professors do if these courses are available? And turns out all you have to do is, rather than speculating, I just ask you to go talk to the professors teaching these courses. Talk to Professor Khosrow Gadiri at San Jose State. Talk to Professor Jamie LaRue at Bunker Hill Community College. And ask what the experience has been. And what she will tell you is that the teacher in the classroom is critical. That she said her students would never have gotten through the course if not for her being in the classroom working with the students. And so really the way to think about these online courses is as a new age textbook, where we're very comfortable using the textbook in the classroom. So what's wrong with using this multimedia textbook in the classroom and use the class time? So if you looked at this picture, students would work together in groups and she would walk around the class and help them. And it's much more personal, much more one-on-one. And the professors really seem to like it as they try it out. At MIT, MIT has really adopted this wholesale. So the edX platform is being used on campus in a wholesale. So MIT has 4,500 undergraduate students. 2,800 of them are using the edX platform online, in campus, in blended courses. And the results are also looking very good. So as an example, in the solid state chemistry course taught by Michael Sima. So he blended the classroom and he's combining online and in-person activity in the classroom. And in his experiment, you can read about it in the Tech from about 3 months ago. The Tech is MIT's Spectator. And at the 5th week of a course at MIT, students, the freshman class, students get a letter if they're not doing too well that says, look, you're not doing well, you need to change your habits or do something, else you're going to fail the course. 3 years ago, 50 students got the letter. 2 years ago, 29 students got the letter. But when they taught the course in this manner last year, they only had to send out 2 letters. So again, all of these experiments are leading to the fact that, look, we need to be experimenting with and trying out new things, bringing digital technology, and there seems to be a promise here. This is from Berkeley. So Berkeley is one of our partners as well, and this is a course that is taught by Armando Fox and David Patterson. Anybody know David Patterson? I'm surprised. Everybody knows David Patterson. So they teach the course on software as Maurice does as well. You know Armando Fox. Okay, great. So there, notice that what they found was when they blended the classroom in spring of 2012, one of the very early adopters of edX, previously the enrollments and so on were here. Course rating, student rating, instructor rating, and course enrollments. But after they went to the blended class, shockingly everything went up. Instructor ratings went up, course ratings went up, and enrollments also, enrollments were keeping on increasing. And they were able to keep pace with the enrollments by using the blended model class. This is a blended class at Tsinghua University, where instead of having a large classroom, Tsinghua in China, where the instructor, they completely changed the classrooms around when they put blackboards on all the walls of the classroom, and they created lots of little round tables where students would work together in a blended model. Now these are present in many universities, but these are just some examples of how professors are trying to experiment with some of these new technologies. The last couple of minutes, I'd like to talk about research. So I said our mission has 3 parts: access, improving the quality of education on campus, and third is research. So let me talk about the third piece. And so we're looking to see how we can use all the data that we're gathering on edX to improve our understanding of how students learn, and thereby improve learning as such. So I like to joke that edX is a particle accelerator for learning, where we get all this data and we can use that at an unprecedented scale. So what I'd like to do is show you some results. So one question that I've often been asked is, as you teach these courses and you have these videos. So let's say you record a 1-hour lecture and get the videos. And then what we do is that, or what your instructional designers will do is take that content and create modules out of the content, and find natural breakpoints and divide it up into videos that are certain length, and intersperse them with some questions. And remember active learning, how active learning and improves student retention. So you want to ask the student a question, sort of like the Socratic method. And so how long should the videos be? So all guesswork until now. And Philip Guo did a study, and what he did was he plotted video length on the x-axis, 3-minute videos, 5-minute videos, all the way to 1 hour, 40-minute videos. And the y-axis, he plotted how long did students spend watching it, the median watching time. And what is interesting is that videos that are about 6 to 9 minutes long had the peak viewing. And as the videos kept growing longer, up to 6 to 9 minutes, the students viewed them completely. But once videos got to be 50 minutes long, notice that students are watching it for 2 minutes. So it actually went down. And so again, maybe this is a millennial generation thing. They want information in bite-sized chunks. Give me a piece of information, and then create some engagement in some manner. And so again, I'm less concerned about what the result is as much as the fact that we're gathering huge amounts of data, and with one experiment we can get pretty good results. So for example, these results are over 5 million watching sessions across 862 videos from a number of courses from a number of universities. Now, just imagine how could one have done this study? I guess one could take a longitudinal study over 20 years and 50, 100% per class over a long time to get statistically significant results. Here you can do this very quickly. This is just one kind of thing you can do with the data. Here's another example. So I give you a story of my son. So when he was in high school, he's now in college, so I have no idea what's going on. But when he was in high school, I had some idea what was going on. And a real challenge motivating our high schoolers to do homeworks. And the response he would give me is that homeworks are useless. What's the point? Just study for tests and that's enough. Why should anybody do homeworks? So all we have to do is put this chart at the start of every course. So what this shows, this is a study done by researchers at Harvard and MIT using the data from the circuits course. Each of those dots is a student data point. So the x-axis is the amount of hours students spent on homework. Okay, and the y-axis is the total points in the course. It's not total points in homework, it's the total points in the course. And notice that there's a very nice positive correlation, which says that And again, I'm not drawing any conclusions out of this because there doesn't exist a causal relationship, but it just showed that there's a positive correlation between those who spend more time on the homeworks and the total grade in the course. So you can, and each of those is a data point. Now, if I picked a set of points at random, they look pretty random all over the place, but when you have a large amount of data, okay, you can actually begin to tease out some of these trends that can be seen in all the data. So this is just the beginning. I think we're just scratching the surface. On the edX website, we have a research and pedagogy page as part of our site. So I encourage you to go there, and I think there's already about 15, 20 papers posted there. So as you do research yourselves, using the data in learning, post the papers and your write-ups there so that the whole community can share. And just amazing results are beginning to come out. So let me stop and take some questions. I'll just leave a picture of the classroom at Tsinghua up there, and happy to take questions.
So when you ask the question, if you can grab the mic so we can record it. Anybody have first question? Yep, okay, we have a couple over there. You want to go first?
No, go ahead.
No. As a consumer of MOOC courses or MOOC dilettante, I've seen a huge variability in, for example, your course was very clearly equivalent to a semester-length, difficult engineering course, and some of the other courses I've seen look like they might be 2 or 3 weeks of an equivalent course. How do you, I don't know if it's quality control or how do you just make it clear to the potential students what level of rigor is even involved in these courses?
So there's really two questions there. One is there can be different course lengths, and the second part is course quality. So I like to really not co-inflate those 2 points. And in terms of course length, what students are telling us very clearly is many of them have jobs, many of them are undergraduate students, taking 5 courses. For many of them, it's hard for them to take an entire semester course in one sitting. So they are asking us to modularize the courses into pieces. So for example, Eric is creating 3 modules, so a 3-part series, so to speak. Like you remember from WGBH and so on, you had multiple parts. So I could watch one sequence or one episode today, and then I could, when at the next bit of time, watch the next piece without falling behind. So there we really encourage you to think of creating a modular, offering these units or the mini courses in modular chunks, where a sequence of courses really comprises learning of a 1 or 2 semester length on campus. And so we are seeing anything from a week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks to 4, 5, 6 weeks to in fact there's one course which has the China X course from Peter Bohl at Harvard is a 13-part sequence that will be spread out over 1 year. And each of these pieces is about a 3-week to 4-week piece. So that is a good thing. So in that sense, my own course was before I discovered that's important. So mine is still a 14-week marathon. So if I were to do it again, I would break it up into there's some natural break points. I would break it up naturally into pieces. So Professor Foner's course, there's the antebellum, there's a Civil War, and so on, broken up into pieces, which is a good thing. Then course quality, that also varies, and even on campus, course quality varies, and it depends on professor's passion, and depends on the course, depends on how much effort goes into it, depends on the assessments. But we certainly encourage people, or strongly urge people to make these rigorous courses, and there you will see a variability, and as courses get rated, students discuss the courses. Things will get figured out over time. And I'm also hoping that people will iterate. It's hard to create an online course, but people will iterate and keep doing better over time. Yes.
So I have 2 questions on disparate aspects of the problem. One is following up on the point that you were just talking about, the modular form very naturally invites the possibility of creating courses that actually include segments from many other courses. And I wonder whether that's something that is actively being pursued at edX. And I'll throw out the second question.
Let me answer the first one first. My memory is terrible. So let's get that, then we'll do the next one. So that's a great point. When you teach in bite-sized chunks in a module, whether it's videos, here's a video, a 20-minute video, or here's a lesson, or here's a modular course, it naturally invites being able to stitch things together. And even in my own course, the very first course we taught in edX, there were 3 of us doing the course. Professor Jerry Sussman. Anybody know Jerry Sussman? Some of you are nodding your heads. He was a co-teacher. And Piero Mitros was also a co-teacher for the course. And what we did was, Jerry would say, I really want to do this. I'm really excited about this topic. So he would go and do a video on that topic and some exercises. And with the learning sequences, you can put those together. And so that is very natural. In fact, some universities are also talking about, I mentioned X series, which are sequences of courses that lead to a credential. So many universities are talking about creating in fact, the University of Queensland and Australian National University talking about creating a 2-course sequence. And that can come from multiple universities if it makes sense.
Okay, so the second question was, of course, all questions come in 2 parts. Part 1 is if you could say something about the Georgia Tech Udacity experiment, where it seems like they would like to capture something close to the entire market for master's degrees in computer science in the country and maybe beyond. And the second, which is related to that, is looking a little bit farther ahead. And a couple of these ventures are backed by venture capitalists. Eventually, they have a profit motive in mind. And I'm wondering if you could say a few words how you see the evolving market structure in this realm.
The first one's an easy question. The second one's a tougher one. On the first one, what do I think about the Georgia Tech Udacity experiment to put a computer science program online? There, frankly, a number of that's going on at a number of places. Right now, if you attach the word MOOC to yourself, suddenly you get a lot of press. But how many of you heard of a company called 2U? How many of you heard of a company called AP, Academic Partnerships? Embanet, Deltac. The list of companies goes on and on that work with universities and put those courses online. So 2U is working with Georgetown to have a nursing program online. Academic Partnerships works with San Antonio and they have a nursing program online. So this has been going on for decades. This is nothing new. And it hasn't changed the world. The Academic Partnerships courses, I think tuition is half that of normal university tuition. And it hasn't changed anything. So my sense is, first of all, that if Georgia Tech or another university works with a MOOC provider and offers an online program and charges whether it's $8,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, I think it's increasing access, which is a good thing. But I don't see any fundamental change, particularly because others have been doing it as well, and it's not been a fundamental change. The other thing is that to offer that kind of quality, particularly when you're giving campus credit for that amount of and charging people money, I think the level of support that you have to provide is phenomenal. And I know some of the CEOs of some of these companies, and they tell me the amount of resources they have to bring to bear. So it's not, and so the reason they charge $15,000, $20,000 for these, and in some cases $40,000, the same as campus tuition, is that it takes money to provide the kind of resources that can match a campus. It'll never match a campus feel, but make it get closer and closer to it. And so we will have to see whether what price point makes sense if you want to get that quality. Price often relates to quality. The second one is how will the marketplace evolve? I have no idea, frankly. But so one reason we wanted to be a nonprofit was that we wanted to be immune to the forces, the short-term forces of the market, of VC pressures and so on. And so we really want to be true to our mission and be foundation funded. We want to be self-sustaining, but really be true to our mission no matter what. And we want to take a long-term view, which is that if something bad happens in 2 years or we see a small failure, we're not going to pivot. We are in this for the long haul because MIT and Harvard have invested $60 million, and many of our other partners have also contributed. UT System contributed $5 million to the effort. And they're doing it because they believe in the long term. They believe that we need to transform education. And we're not going to pivot. We are in this for the long haul. We are going to make a change. We are going to help. And we are taking a 10, 20-year view of this. And we're going to be in there and not let market forces move us around. With the for-profits, there's always a VC pressure where I've not met the VC. I've done 5 startup companies. I haven't met the VC yet that can say, yeah, we'll have a loss leader forever and just be self-sustaining. They're looking for 10x to 100x return on their investment, and so you need to make, if you invest $100 million, you expect a 1 to 10 billion return, and so you have to take steps at some point to get there. And as one example, Udacity, is focused on professional education, and so some of the for-profits are moving in directions that may not exactly match their initial mission focus. And so, and by being a nonprofit, we can stay immune to many of these forces and do what we think is right, focus on principles rather than profit. And so, my suspicion is the market forces will determine where everyone comes out. But our hope is that as a nonprofit, we can put blinders on and say we want to get there and go there.
I also have 2 questions. The first one's pretty short. What's that? Oh, okay. That's new technology for you.
It's not logical, is it? Right.
Okay, so the first question is, how is Claude McKendy going to make a degree out of his MOOCs?
So how is Claude from the Democratic Republic of Congo going to make a career out of these MOOCs? So we have a number of stories of learners, and where like Claude McKendy, they've taken one MOOC, and the reason we launched X series, which is a sequence of courses, is that people like Claude say, okay, I've done one course in computer science. Look, to make it meaningful for me, I need 4 courses. I need enough to create a discipline and then get a job. And so what he's doing is, and others are doing, is taking a number of courses within a discipline. And then I can give you example after example. There's a learner right here in New York. I can't mention his name or his company because it's too real, where he took the software as a service course, Ruby on Rails from Berkeley, from Armando Fox actually. And he did well in the course, and he passed the course. And he posted his resume and his certificate on LinkedIn. He got an interview call from a company that wanted that skill set in New York the next day, and now he's working at that company. So whether it's one course or a few courses, people like Claude can use those skills and get a job. That's just one example. Others just want to do this for self-edification, just want to learn more. I want to learn more about the Civil War. I don't plan on becoming a history professor or a historian, but I want to get something out of it. So different people are motivated in different ways.
Okay, so the second part, it's kind of going back to the whole finance issue, and while you might be a not-for-profit, at some point you need to get more funding. Someone told me that you're crunching through about $1 million a month, so that gives you 5 years, just over. But take, for example, this issue where you are letting other people use your MOOCs in blended situations. Are any of them actually paying any licensing fees for that and providing you a source of revenue, or is that not happening yet?
Let me ask the specific question and answer the broader question, which is even as a nonprofit, no funder, no philanthropist, no funder, certainly not MIT and Harvard, are interested in pouring money down a black hole into something that's burning money. And so we have to be self-sustaining. But self-sustaining means that we need to get a revenue of tens of millions of dollars a year versus get to $10 billion, which is a completely different ballgame. And I see a path to tens of billions of dollars in revenue as being, I really see that as pretty straightforward. I don't see an issue with that at all. Absolutely no issue at all. 10 billion, I don't know. To make it worthwhile for VCs and so on, $1 billion to 10 billion, I really don't know, and I don't think such a path exists. Let me put it this way, I don't see a path by being true to our mission and making revenues of 1 to 10 billion. I don't see a path. I would have to do something. I know how to get there. You know, I can do what 2U is doing, for example. They just filed for their IPO. So, you know, there are paths to, you know, multi-$100 million in revenue, but we would have to pivot. But I don't see a path that is congruent to our mission. That said, you know, I see many revenue sources that will make us self-sustaining. One example is I talked about the blended courses, where we are working with a number of universities where they use these courses on their campuses, and you know, where they pay us a fee. It's like a textbook. They're using it in place of a textbook, so they pay us a fee. So with EdRock, the Arab Nation platform, they are paying us a fee to license our courses with permission from our university partners. They translate the courses and offer it on their platform, and they are paying us substantial amounts of revenue to license those courses. We in turn do a revenue share with our university partners. That's one source of revenue. Another source of revenue is that we are focused on our mission, but at the same time, you can also do other things, like you know, we've launched a small solutions team that is working with universities on executive education, where you know, a small team is focused on offering courses for a fee. So we launched a big data course working with MITx. And as a professional education course, it's a short course focused on executives. It's not meant to be a complete MOOC. It's a short course. There's a fee to take the course of $500. And we launched it 2 months ago. We're very successful. And so there are many approaches like that where we can do things on a small scale and get enough revenue to sustain ourselves while pursuing our MOOC mission.
Okay, we have time for one more question. We have here, and then we'll have to close.
Thanks. Just wondered whether, like, the default learning design is generally little videos and some activities built in, as you were saying, but is there any thinking about incorporating some of the learning design engines that are out there, like, for example, LAMS, that's used quite extensively in the K-12 sector?
So I've not heard of the LAMS in particular, but we have built interfaces into the platform where people can plug in various other components. I'll give you one example. So our platform supports 3 different interfaces. One is LTI, which is a very well-known LTI, the Learning Tools Interoperability, is a very well-known interface. That's in our platform. We have 2 other interfaces, and people can plug in third-party components using that. So as an example, the Jazz Appreciation course from UT Austin is using an engine developed by Cerigo, which is an adaptive learning engine developed by a company called Cerigo that they're plugged into our platform. So, so our hope is to create this ecosystem through interfaces where people can plug in various kinds of components. We are working with this group, a nonprofit called Concord Consortium, that develops chemistry simulations. We're using those on the platform. The others called PHET, P-H-E-T, some of you may have heard of them. They create physics and chemistry simulations, and those can be incorporated into our platform as well through these interfaces we've developed. So absolutely, we're very interested in doing that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Anant, and let's give Anant a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
I urge any of you who are interested in the continuing work around edX and Columbia, Courtney has an iPad that you can sign up to the mailing list from the center, which is around educational technology, news bits, and if you do that, maybe we'll keep putting out information as we learn about how to take advantage of the edX platform over the next few months. Again, I thank you all for attending, and I hope you'll come to the next session, which will be around the cognitive studies and with Marcia Lin on April 17th. And again, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, Anant. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.